Hello and welcome back. This is David from the Personal Finance Squad. We just finished up exercise 13 going through the cell phone bill, and now we're going to get into the cable, satellite, and internet. Two very common bills in the budget that are definitely not the most fun to manage sometimes because there's fluctuations in plan changes and pricing and new phones and new equipment. And so again, with new equipment here for cable, satellite, internet, I'm sure most of you have been through this process one way or another. Every time you move, you're going to have to go get that set up. And if you're in your current home or apartment or some domicile, then you're going to have to keep an eye on it as well. So that's what we're going to do here. So things to consider, because every time you go through a new place that offers these services or you want to change up, you got to think about the pieces that you want. And it's important to get good pricing because they will jack the price up pretty good on you until you tell them otherwise. And it's always a negotiation game every 6 months or a year or 2 years whenever they decide what the period is for your contract. So again, like the cell phone, they're always vying for your business, so they're willing to work with you on price. So usually in most cases, you're going to end up with a nice promotional offer, and then it'll change after a certain point. And in most cases, people don't really remember what that time is. 3-4 months in, and then all of a sudden you start paying for HBO and Cinemax, for example, because it was free and you forget about it, and then you want to go get a change, and then they work with you, and so it's a big negotiation. So the things you need to consider, though, if you're especially moving into a new place or changing things around with a new company, is that usually this period of the promotion is probably within a 1 to 2 year time frame. And what we've also done here is just an example. In our base example, we said, you just assume you have Netflix in your budget. It's just maybe an exercise to think about, do you need Netflix and cable and satellite? And maybe the answer is that's what you want, yes. Netflix offers programming now that these other channels do not. Okay, so some basic things to think about is, do you want a DVR? And if you do, how many televisions do you have? And do you want the DVR in every television? And then do you want premium channels such as HBO and Cinemax? Sports packages. These things are additional costs to your basic set of channels. And so you can see we put an example below here of what one may look like. So you can see that they have all these packages in front for pricing. This is a promotional period, and then they're going to tell you at some point your cost is going to be $89.99 after, right here it says, for 1 year. So that's something, again, to consider. Now, what's within there, right? So do you get any of these channels up here within it? And if you don't, then that's also going to also go up as well. So that price could not only go up here for the packaged channels, but also for these specialty channels. And then on the website, you're going to have to go through and understand what's in those channels for those packages. In many cases, they're not the most robust to look at. It's kind of a pain to look through all of them. So you should at least make sure that you understand the channels you really like to make sure they're in the packages and ask that person. So yes, they do have grids like this, but to navigate through them are probably not the easiest to do. The other part is the internet, of course, right? Usually they're bundled. I know some places still offer the phone service as well. I think more and more the phone's going away from what it used to, but in any event, certainly the satellite or cable TV and the internet bundle is pretty common. So again, you need to find out the same things in terms of price. Is there a promotional time? So you may get, let's say this lowest speed here at $15 a month, and maybe that's promotional for, 6 months, and then price goes to $28 after that. And also you need to consider is what kind of speed do you really need? Because there's a lot of electronics in the house that right now that draw from that internet connection, that signal strength. So your kids, do they game? Do you game? Are you somebody watching YouTube all the time, or somebody using Netflix, or is it going on at the same time by other people in the house? So those are the things you need to think about, because if you get a slow connection speed and you start lagging, people get pretty annoyed with that. We're quick gratification type society these days, so you should get what you want so that you don't get annoyed with the setup there. Again, the other things to consider are early termination. If you leave the contract early, you will pay a fee just like it happens with the cell phone, for example. And then we can see down here that you want to read all of this and understand what those fees are. And so you can see, for example, that we said early termination fee was $180. And to start the service, you have a professional one-time installation and one-time fee for releasing the equipment, and that came to $199. So while you're getting the promotional price, you need to understand what entails into that. And there's almost always some kind of charge in here on top of these promotional pieces. So keep that in mind, and again, be free to negotiate. Okay, so that's going to cover it here for this exercise, and we're going to get into exercise 15 next, where we go into the electric and gas bills and start managing those out so we can get those into a fixed price. Okay, so thanks for joining, and we will see you in the next video.